Sometimes the biggest mysteries are hiding in the tiniest details. Tucked away inside a legal document that's almost 900 years old, there's a geographical puzzle, a single word that unlocks a history everyone thought was lost forever. This is a real-life detective story, and the crime scene? It's an entire landscape. So we're going to dive into a pretty amazing piece of historical detective work that all starts with this one simple question, a question that ends up unraveling a forgotten legacy that was hiding in plain sight this whole time. All right, our story doesn't begin with archaeologists digging in the dirt. Nope. It starts right in the middle of a super tense courtroom drama. We need to go way back, all the way to the 12th century. I want you to picture the scene. It's southern Italy, 1144. This whole region is a real patchwork of shifting powers. You've got these newly arrived Norman lords, and they're clashing with the long-established Greek monasteries over who gets to control the land. And this particular fight has gone all the way to the top, to the king's court. So, who are the players here? Well, in one corner, you have the abbot of the very powerful Carbone monastery. He's trying to protect land rights his monastery has held for ages. And in the other corner, you've got Giulio, this ambitious new lord of Calvera. He's a Norman noble, and he's convinced the land is his by order of the king. And Giulio is not backing down. His argument is actually pretty simple and powerful. He's basically saying, look, the king gave me Calvera and everything with it, so I'm in charge here. End of story. But, it's not quite that simple. The court isn't just going to take his word for it. The judges turn to the abbot and they put the pressure squarely on him. They tell him he needs to show them some proof, something solid to back up the monastery's claim. And this, right here, this is where our mystery really kicks off. Because the abbot, he didn't just show up with an argument. He came with receipts, in the form of some very old charters. He brings out two key documents for the court to see. And these aren't just your standard deeds. No, they are incredibly detailed descriptions of the property boundaries, listing out specific rivers, bridges, and landmarks. So the big question is, can these ancient descriptions actually be traced on a modern map? I mean, the abbot's entire case really depends on it. So let's follow the clues together. The first charter, it kind of lays out a path. It's like a verbal GPS, It talks about a barrier, a ridge called Acanthosa that meets a river, which then joins another river and eventually circles back around. And you won't believe this, but historians have been able to trace these exact features on a satellite map today. The ridges, the rivers, they're all still there. The first document is totally accurate. It's verifiable. So far, so good for the monastery. Okay, now for the second document. It describes another boundary following a crest, which then turns and meets a lake. The Greek word written in the text is Lakkou, and from this so-called lake, a stream is supposed to flow back down. But here's the twist. When we try to trace this map, the whole case just starts to fall apart. The description, which was so precise a second ago, suddenly points to something impossible. And this brings us right to the heart of the mystery. The entire legal case, and this whole historical puzzle we're talking about, it all hinges on one single word. Because when you actually look at the landscape being described, a really obvious question just pops right into your head. Where is this lake? And look, geologists and historians have confirmed this. It's not just that there's no lake there today. The steep, mountainous terrain means there never could have been a lake there. It is a geographical impossibility. So what gives? Were the monks just forging the document? Let's look a little closer at the word itself, Lakkou. This is exactly what the Greek scribe wrote down, and for centuries, pretty much everyone who read it just translated it as lake. But what if every single one of them was wrong? Now, let me introduce a new word into evidence. This is Lagar. It's not Greek, it's a word from the language of the Lombards, a Germanic people who used to rule parts of Italy. And it means a fortified camp. And this is it. This is the key. Lakkou wasn't a Greek word for a lake at all. It was a transliteration. It's what a Greek-speaking scribe wrote down when he heard a local refer to a Lombard Lagar. The vanished lake was never a lake. It was a military fort. This single realization doesn't just solve the boundary dispute from 1144, it completely unlocks a hidden layer of history for the entire region. Seriously, think about what this means. That so-called lake was a Lombard fort. The town's name, Calvera, probably comes from that very fact. This one word reveals a Lombard presence that historians just didn't know existed here, buried deep beneath layers of Byzantine and Norman rule. It's a perfect example of how language can act like a historical fossil, preserving a piece of the past. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, if a forgotten military fort could hide itself as a lake in a legal document for 900 years? What other stories, what other lost worlds are just waiting out there to be found in the phantom landmarks and mistranslated words of ancient texts?